Alright, hello everyone, and welcome. This is my Nintendo press conference, digital conference, whatever you want to call it, for E3 2015 recap and reactions video. So I thank you for watching, whether you are live on stream or you are watching this on demand on my YouTube channel, DSPGaming, and let us begin. There I am. Wow. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to my recap and reactions to Nintendo this year. Now, let's preface this because I do have about a little over 2 pages here of stuff to talk about from the Nintendo press conference. And I want to preface this with a big asterisk, okay? And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to make it very clear that Nintendo's strategy, Nintendo's marketing, Nintendo's E3 game plan has been very different from everyone else's for several years now. We're talking at least 3 years. Nintendo has only done a digital-only press conference, meaning they had no physical conference at E3. Now, not to say that their games weren't on display, not to say that you couldn't go there and hands-on play the stuff, but they were primarily digital, meaning they had this whole pre-packaged presentation ready to go with tons of flair, tons of video editing, you know what I mean, transitions. It wasn't like the other guys who did everything live. This was all pre-packaged and shiny and nicely produced for E3, okay? That being said, I would love to hear how many people are going to say, even if you're a Nintendo fanboy, I would love to hear how many people could possibly say that Nintendo had a good press conference or digital presentation at E3 this year. You're going to see what I mean as we go through everything about the press conference, alright? So, the first thing that I want to explain, because if you didn't see the press conference, which I know many of you didn't, you're watching this video to hear my recap, you have to understand there was a running theme throughout the press conference that both disturbed, appalled, and scared people, alright? I shit you not. There were Muppets on the press conference. Now, you might say, whoa, Kermit the Frog was the host? Kermit the Frog here, and I'm here to present Kingdom Hearts 3, yay! No, that's not what I mean. I actually mean that they had puppets that looked almost like Muppets, okay, of Iwata, the CEO of Nintendo, Miyamoto, the legendary game designer, and Reggie Fils-Aimé, the head of CEO of Nintendo of America. They were creepy, they made no fucking sense, and they showed up multiple times during the conference where they would do weird skits. Like, at one point they showed the puppet of Iwata is sitting at, it looks to be a real desk, like maybe it's Iwata's real desk at Nintendo offices, with a bunch of bananas sitting on his lap. And he's just sitting there like this with the bananas in his hands, and he turns to the camera like this. And then it cuts away. What the fuck is that supposed to be? Like, huh? There's one where there's Reggie Fils-Aimé on one side here, and Miyamoto on this side, the puppets, not the real ones, and then you got Iwata dancing in front of them like this, and then it cuts away, and you're like, what the fuck am I watching? And I hate to say it. I really do hate to say it. Because as you guys know, I am a fan of Nintendo. How do I say this? Please understand. I am a fan of Nintendo. I grew up with Nintendo in the 80s. I grew up with Nintendo in the 90s. I don't know what the fuck they're doing anymore. Like, I can't even kind of justify why this was in the press conference, what it was supposed to be. Maybe, it's whimsical, right? Well, first of all, you copied the Muppets. Your puppets look like Muppets, like straight out of the old school Muppet movies and the Muppet Show. So you see this, and you're like, what the fuck am I watching, right? Immediately, you're like, it's a ripoff. Nothing's funny. It makes no sense. You're supposed to be watching information about games, and you're just like, what? And actually, a lot of the conference was kind of like, what am I watching? I thought I was supposed to be watching an announcement from Nintendo about their new games, and you end up watching some weird shit. You're like, what is this? We'll talk more about that as we get into the meat of the press conference, all right? But the best comparison that I can say, and I hate to say it, it's kind of ironic and almost opportune that they had puppets of the top guys at Nintendo. Because that's how I think of them these days. They're a bunch of Muppets. They're people who basically live in their own world. They're another dimension from us. They don't listen to feedback from actual gamers. They don't listen to feedback from the consumers who buy stuff that aren't the real gamers, but maybe just buy into their trends. They really don't listen to anyone. They just basically live with their heads up their asses. They think that no matter what they do, it's the best decision for their company, even when their company continues to lose money. Even though this year, I believe they did actually make some profit, but they lost money for quite a long time there. And it just blows my fucking mind that, you know what I mean? Like, what an analogy. The leadership of Nintendo is a bunch of Muppets. And that would be why the company makes such stupid fucking decisions. Because they're fucking puppet idiots. Yes, that actually makes perfect sense. Okay? So now let's actually go into the real conference of what was covered. Okay? The first game that was shown and talked about in this conference was Star Fox, alright? So they start showing actual gameplay of the new Star Fox on the Wii U. So they're playing, immediately they show new stuff, that's exactly what you need to do. You're showing a new game, show me why I need it. So they're showing the R-Wing flying around in 60 frames per second, pretty decent graphics, although I'll say this, I don't think the graphics were too revolutionary. Like, watching this conference, the graphics were still a little blocky. It almost reminded me of, like, wow, it's maybe GameCube level graphics. It didn't look next-gen to me, which the Wii U is supposed to be a next-gen system. Didn't look amazing to me, okay? But it's flying around, it's doing whatever. All of a sudden, the R-Wing transforms, immediately turns into a walker, starts walking and shooting. That's cool. Show me something new. Then they show the R-Wing can now turn into a tank, and the tank has hover jets that can push it around, like almost like I would say almost like the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. That's cool. And then they actually show that it could turn into this hover vehicle, which they actually call the Gyro Wing. That's cool. And in fact, then they cut, after all that gameplay, they cut to Miyamoto, alright? And Miyamoto admits, he's like, this stuff, especially the walker, was actually supposed to be in Star Fox 2, which was supposed to come out on the Super NES, but was canned somewhere mid-production, even though it was almost done. For some reason, it was canned, so he's so happy to finally bring it back, right? Okay, great. Then they proceed to show, and this is what I mean about this press conference, are you showing me games, or is this some kind of a documentary on Nintendo? They show Miyamoto at a shrine in Japan. Now, you have to understand, you have to have a cultural reference to understand this. In Japan, they have these shrines throughout their country, which have to do with this Shinto religion, which is kind of, not even really a religion, but a spirituality in a lot of ways. And the Japanese are into this stuff. So this shrine, even though it might not be a super religious shrine, could have a lot of cultural significance to the Japanese. And Miyamoto's there, he says, oh, I live only like a block away from here, and I did that on purpose because I like to come here and surround myself with the shrine and see myself surrounded. And that's where I got the inspiration for Star Fox, the new one, because the game is about being surrounded by content and always being able to look around and I'm like, no, you did not sit at this Shinto temple and get a revolutionary idea for the new Star Fox, Mr. Miyamoto. I'm sorry, but I'm calling you out. You're a liar. That's not what happened. What you're trying to do is do some kind of fancy cultural thing so that Americans will be like, oh, it's something cultural. That's neat and cute. No, you designed it in a game fucking studio like everyone else, the same ideas as everyone else, you designed it like everything else. Star Fox was not imagined at a Shinto shrine. He's so full of shit, and he's just trying to integrate culture into this montage, which is bullshit. It's fluff. It doesn't belong at the E3 press conference. You know what I mean? So, he's doing this, he's talking about it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, whatever. And you literally can fast forward through it, because it's almost like 10 to 15 minutes of him at this shrine, and it's like, what does this have to do with the game? So finally they get to the game, they show the transformations of the tanks, and Miyamoto explains the transformations of the tanks, blah, blah, blah. Then they cut to Reggie Fils-Aimé, and I don't know where the hell he is. He's like, it almost looks to me like he's in a high school auditorium or something, you know what I mean? It's very odd, and he's got these stairs behind him, which has like the question mark block and the freaking Mario pipe from Super Mario Brothers, all behind him, right? And it's real weird. Like, where the hell on earth would he be that this stuff exists? Maybe they have a filming studio at Nintendo of America. I don't know. Just seemed really odd. So he starts talking, oh, tonight, the theme of our presentation will be transformation. Even though, you know, We're going to be talking about games. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. For example, Nintendo is going to come to theme parks soon. We'll be part of Universal Studios. And we've announced that we're going to be part of mobile devices. We announced this last year that Nintendo games will be coming to mobile a lot. And then he goes, oh, and Nintendo's new console, the NX, will be revolutionary, but that's coming next year. We're not going to give you a lot of information about that stuff. We're just going to talk about that next year, but rest assured we will. And then that's it. Then they cut away. And it's kind of like, so basically what Reggie Fils-Aimé is admitting is that Nintendo has failed as a game-making company, right? We can't make games that people will buy anymore and that will actually, sell and make profit so we can be a company that will do that. Now we have to be theme parks, and we have to make mobile games, which isn't our primary market, and we have to, push to the next console because obviously the Wii U was a flop, so we have to push on to the NX and forget like the Wii U ever existed. And I hate to say it, but that's kind of what the theme of the whole thing was, because there were, as you'll see as I go through here, there'll be very few Wii U announcement games or anything about the Wii U. Most of the conference was about the Nintendo 3DS, or at least the games that are coming out in the near future are Nintendo 3DS. Okay. So, next they start talking about Mario Maker temporarily. It's very short, but they get back to that later, so I won't even get to Mario Maker. There's a huge segment, I shit you not. It's over 10 minutes long. It's about Amiibos. So out of their, it was only about 40 minutes, their digital presentation. 1/4 of it was Amiibos. And let me tell you something, it looks very unsettling when you've got Reggie Fils-Aimé, who actually is a big physically imposing person in real life. Those who don't know, he's actually a big dude. He's sitting there with a toy of like Bowser, with another full-grown man sitting there with a toy, and they're sitting there going like this with their toys. So here's the new Amiibo. Tell me what the Amiibo's going to integrate. And then they show, fucking Mario Party or some shit. Oh yeah, the Amiibo will integrate this and that. And everyone who's there who cares about games is like, what the fuck? Like, I understand Amiibos are a fad. You know what I mean? And I understand this is E3. This is Electronic Entertainment Expo, not sell overhyped Toys Expo, Electronic Entertainment Expo. So talk about the electronics. I know your Amiibos exist. I can't get away from them. I hear about them on the internet every day. I hear about them on my stream chat every day. I hear about them on TV. They're the big thing. You were successful selling a toy that 2 other companies sold before you because you jumped on a bandwagon of popularity instead of doing something original. I get that. But I don't need to hear about your Amiibos at your digital press conference. I need to hear about your games. Just saying. Alright, so next, they talk about a new game. It looks almost exactly like Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures. For those of you who don't know what that is, it was a cooperative Zelda game that was made back on Nintendo handheld systems, okay? And it had 4-player co-op, where 4 players could play locally. You all had to be close to each other, I believe. I don't know if they ever made one that had online connectivity. I could be wrong. But you had to basically have 4 players who all played a different color of Link, and it was a 4-player co-op Zelda game that played very much like The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. They made a new one. This one's called Triforce Heroes. It's actually 3-player, not 4-player. And I guess during the presentation, they kind of explained that the reason for this was because they wanted to do some different gameplay elements. Like there's one called the Totem, where you stand on top of each other. And they realized that when there was 4 people on top of each other, it was too complicated. They couldn't implement it as much. So they made it 3-player, so you got a 3-person totem of standing on top and doing puzzles and stuff like that. But the game's pretty innovative. They've got different outfits that do different things. Like they got a bomb suit that you can throw unlimited bombs. They've got a suit that can take hits and not take any damage. They had a suit where it was like an unlimited spin slash suit. Every attack you do is like a super spin slash or something like that. And then they actually explained that, don't worry, if you want to play this game single player, because you don't happen to have people you could play with over the internet, or, let's be honest, if I wanted to get this game, do you really think I'm going to coordinate with fucking 2 other people to our schedules to play this game together? Probably not. But you can play it single player, where the other links are dolls, basically AI controlled, and you can swap between all the links to do all the puzzles and everything anyway. So that's pretty neat, and they announced that this game, will be coming out hopefully next year, but no release date has been promised, not even 2016, it's just in development. So that's one, it's called Triforce Heroes. On the 3DS. The next game, there will be a 3DS version of Hyrule Warriors that not only will include all the characters from the original game on Wii U last year, as well as the DLCs for the Wii U, but they will also include new characters from the Wind Waker that will be exclusive to the 3DS version. So, a lot of people actually complained about Hyrule Warriors and said, this is the kind of game that would do really well on the Nintendo 3DS, but they put it out for the Wii U, which honestly, not a lot of people rushed out to buy, right? And everyone, way more people have 3DSs worldwide than Wii U's. So they said, I wish it would be handheld, so Nintendo gave them what they wanted. It's coming out supposedly next year, okay? Now this next game, I don't think I've heard as much uproar about a game from Nintendo in a while as I did about this next one. Metroid Prime Federation Forge. It is a 4-player cooperative game on the Nintendo 3DS that also features a side minigame called Blast Ball coming out in 2016. It's basically 4-player kind of cooperative gameplay that mimics the gameplay of Metroid Prime, although supposedly Samus isn't in it. It doesn't actually like have any kind of a mainstream story tied to the Metroid Prime universe. It's just kind of a Metroid Prime-like game on the 3DS. And I think the reason people are so fucking pissed about this announcement isn't the game itself, it's that Metroid Prime 3 was a long fucking time ago. And people really liked the Metroid Prime series, like, so much so that just recently Nintendo released the Metroid Prime trilogy, right, on Nintendo Wii U, so you could replay those games because it was very hard to find the physical copies of those games anymore. And you've got a series... Oh, people are saying it's Force, not Forge. I misread my own thing. I guess it's Federation Force, whatever. But yeah, but people are pissed. And they're like, this isn't a Metroid game. This is like a first-person shooter cooperative game with the name of Metroid slapped on it just for the sake of it. Why could they make a new Metroid Prime? So I guess people are completely flipping out because they basically, you know, want a new game in the Metroid Prime series. They don't want some what-if silly first-person shooter game for the 3DS. I don't know. I've actually not actually played Metroid Prime. So I don't know, you know, if it will be, you know, anything about it. I don't know. But a lot of people are just pissed off that they gave it the Metroid Prime name, and they're saying, this is not Metroid Prime, we want a real Metroid Prime. Okay. Fair enough. Up next, they had Fire Emblem Fates, which apparently will be a new Fire Emblem game. It was no gameplay, just basically a big cinematic trailer for it, saying it's coming out in 2016. Didn't give any kind of a definitive release date on that. Would not be surprised if that makes it to the States, considering that Fire Emblem usually does pretty decently on Nintendo consoles, i.e. The 3DS. The next trailer, I'm going to be honest with everyone. I watched the whole next trailer. It was just a trailer, no gameplay. I didn't know what the fuck I was watching. Like, didn't have a clue. And everything was in Japanese, the voice, the text, everything was Japanese. So it's like, fucking anime-looking girls with swords flying around, people with weapons, and anime, crazy anime, oh god, oh, it's like out of control, like, what the fuck, you know, Jesus Christ, I wish I could look away from the screen for a minute, because you're gonna have a seizure if you keep watching. And finally it ends, and all it says at the end is, Japanese, F-E. Japanese. And I sat there, I don't have a fucking clue what I just saw. You know, like, I have no idea what I'm watching. I have absolutely no idea what's going on right now. What is this? So come to find out, I guess this game is actually Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem. This is a game that people who are into those series have been talking about for quite some time. And apparently it's actually like, a very polarizing game. Some people are thinking it's going to be good, and some people are like, I don't know, this is kind of a bad idea. And I didn't know that. People had to tell me that after the conference, that's what it was. I was like, I had no fucking clue watching that, what I was watching. So just imagine this, right? This is the common gamer who's watching all the E3 press conferences, who doesn't know about Shin Megami Tensei, maybe knows what Fire Emblem is because they just saw the Fire Emblem trailer. You wasted about 2 to 3 minutes of their time. Because all they saw was Japanese, kanji, you know, nothing, and they have no fucking clue. This is Dear Nintendo. This is the E3 press conference. This is not Nintendo Japanese Tokyo Game Show press conference. You are trying to sell games to people who speak English. Fucking use English. Duh! But no, instead we'll put 20-minute things about Miyamoto at a shrine, and we'll have fucking Muppets dancing across the screen, instead of actually just translating shit into English so people know what game you just advertised. Okay. So now, let's switch over to my nice other template. Hold on a second. I'd like to say, again, special thanks to Dark Maggot and Amen Ra, who both made me some really awesome templates for this recap and post-show kind of reactions video. Next, This one kind of did take me a little bit by surprise, because I don't think we've seen too much gameplay of this game yet. We heard about it at first, I think it was last year at E3. Xenoblade Chronicles. So this is an action-based RPG in the Xenoblade franchise history. It is exclusively going to be on the Wii U, okay? And this game, you know, very action-based. You're talking giant monsters. It almost kind of looks like Monster Hunter. I remember last year when I saw this at E3, I said, at first I thought it was Monster Hunter. You know what I mean? But it actually isn't Monster Hunter. It's, you know, it's Xenoblade. And I'm watching, I'm like, okay. Then they announced, oh, by the way, that's coming out December 4th, 2015. On to the next game. Whoa, what? Wait, what? Yeah, it's coming out in December. And it's funny because they kind of glossed over that. Oh, yeah, it's coming out December 4th. Okay, next game. What? Like, I didn't even know that. Like, last year we were all waiting, gee, when's it coming out? And they didn't even have a date for us. Now all of a sudden it's coming out first week of December. So that could be a big one for Wii U owners, especially those who are fans of Xenoblade. That was like, for me, that was like a big announcement at this conference that was almost kind of glossed over. You know what I mean? I thought they would have like hyped it more, but they didn't. It was just like, oh, on to the next. Okay, what? What, was there a date? Oh shit. Write that down quick. I didn't even realize it, right? Okay. Next, they announced Animal Crossing Home Designer. It's a game where you basically exactly what it sounds like. You're creating houses. It's a sim game. You're making fucking houses and architecture with the Animal Crossing characters and the Animal Crossing art design. And I don't understand. I'm sure there's an audience for this. I'm sure it appeals to someone. It certainly doesn't appeal to me. They said that's coming out 9/15/15, so September 15th, 2015. And then they announced, oh, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Guess what? Amiibos, more Amiibos coming out for Animal Crossing, and there'll be a game called Amiibos Festival with Animal Crossing characters, where you'll use your Amiibos. It's a board game. It looks like Mario Party, and it's a fucking piece of shit, and who gives a fuck besides a 5-year-old kid? So moving on. Yoshi's Woolly World, okay? This, I will admit, was kind of interesting because I've seen gameplay of it, but at the first time I actually heard a game developer who worked on it talk about it, and she's like, oh yeah, I was one of the main game developers of Yoshi's Epic Yarn a few years back. And I'm like, wow, that's actually pretty good. Like, because I really liked, you know, for those who didn't see it, Kirby's Epic Yarn was actually a really great game that I think people say to this day, that was a unique playthrough that I did. It was a cute game. It was fun. I felt positive the whole playthrough because I felt so happy about it. It was just a nice, positive, fun game. Not that it wasn't super challenging at the same time. It was, you know what I mean? It was just a pleasant game. And if Yoshi's Woolly World is anything like that, I think that it could be pretty good. And they also say this game is co-op, which I didn't know. The game has 2-player co-op. And making co-op actually looks like it can make the game a little bit easier, because one Yoshi can suck the Yoshi in as if you had a projectile and spit out the Yoshi like a projectile to reach up high ledges, or even to spit Yoshi onto high ledges that normally Yoshi couldn't reach. So it actually looks like 2-player makes the game easier rather than harder. The other, you know, Mario games that have come out the past few years on the Wii and the Wii U, actually the game becomes harder with co-op. In this game, it seems to become easier. So that's kind of a cool thing. And then again, Amiibos, right? Everything has to be Amiibos. If you get the Amiibo, right? If you get the Amiibo, it does nothing in the game of any use. All it does, it colors Yoshi to look like the Amiibo. So if you have the Mario Amiibo and you scan it into Yoshi's Woolly World, Yoshi gets a fucking Mario skin. So he has a fake mustache, he has the color scheme of Mario. It still looks like Yoshi, the body's shaped like Yoshi, but he's got Mario's color scheme. Wow, I really fucking needed that. So that was definitely worth my money to go get the Mario Amiibo to get a color scheme for Mario on my character. What a waste of time, just like every fucking Amiibo. And that game is coming out October 16th, 2015. So mark your calendars, mid-October, when every other game is coming out. I guess you gotta try to squeeze in with Yoshi's Woolly World. Alright, the next thing that came on, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, actually intrigued me and interested me. It was called Yokai Watch. It looked like Pokemon, but it looked like it had some kind of a unique twist where it wasn't Pokemon, like it was ghosts or some supernatural aspect, like you couldn't normally see the creatures, but if you use some kind of a device, then you can find them. And so again, it looks like Pokemon. There are even Pokemon style battles. You catch these creatures, you're fighting them, but it's not just one-on-one. Now it's like parties, almost like an old school RPG with 3-on-3 turn-based combat, but then you just watch aspect, I guess, in the 3DS, you know, and you're like touching the touch screen. It makes a watch spin, and there's all kind. I don't know, very confusing, and just very, very confusing in my opinion. But it looked good. Like I'll be honest, it looks like Pokemon. Even the art style, very similar to Pokemon. But I kind of liked it. I don't know what it was about it. It looked interesting to me, and that's actually supposedly coming out holiday 2015. Like, what? I never even heard of it. This is like the first I heard of this game, Yokai Watch. Oh, comes out holiday 2015. Enjoy. So apparently there's a game coming out, you know, whatever it is coming out in December. We don't know when yet, but I'd be interested to see what it is. Is it any good? Is it as good as Pokemon? A new franchise that's similar to Pokemon but has some kind of a twist to it? I don't understand it, but it looks good. I don't know. Then they announced Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, which is an actual fusion of two franchises. The old school Paper Mario franchise from the GameCube is now being fused with the Mario and Luigi RPG action series from the mobile. So remember they had like Mario and Luigi, what was it, Superstar Saga or something like that, and there was like one where you're inside Bowser, something like that, Bowser's Inside Story. They're combining the two universes, and it's funny because you have paper versions of every character, and you have like the more 3D 3DS versions of every character combined into a kind of combination crossover story. So if you're a fan of either franchise, you'll probably like this game. If you've been playing those games, you'll definitely want to play this one. I'll be honest, I played one of the Paper Mario games and I liked it. I didn't play any of the other ones, the Superstar or whatever they are, those. I never played those. For me to play this game, I probably wouldn't understand it. Although it seems unique, I don't know. For me, I don't know. This one actually might not be my cup of tea, but I don't know. I digress. They said it's coming out in 2016, spring 2016. I'm not sure exactly, but as we get more information on it, I'll try to get more, you know, more of a vibe on if it's something that I want to play or not. Alright, Mario Tennis. That's all I'm going to say about Mario Tennis, because guess what? It's Mario Tennis. The same game that comes out on every fucking Nintendo console ever. They do nothing. It's the same fucking game with a few new characters and one or two new things. I'll be honest, the graphics to me look like it's on the GameCube. They don't even look like they've jumped anything from the GameCube. It looks like basic Mario Tennis. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore because it's fucking Mario Tennis. And so then they closed the show. The big, how do you close the show? You know what I mean? You close it with a bang, right? Well, they spend literally 20 minutes on Mario Maker. So apparently, if you're watching this is their big thing for the year, is Mario Maker, right? So before I talk about Mario Maker, that's it. Like, that's the end of the press conference. So, going through all the games that were in the press conference, you started with Star Fox, Muppets, Amiibos, a new Zelda game that's kind of like Four Swords Adventures, right? Hyrule Warriors getting a 3DS port. Metroid Prime 4-player co-op game that's really not Metroid Prime. Fire Emblem's coming out sometime in 2016. There's a crossover Shin Megami Tensei Fire Emblem in 2016. Xenoblade Chronicles in December. That's a good one, right? A new Animal Crossing with fucking Amiibos. Yoshi's Woolly World. This new Yokai that we know nothing about yet. It's coming out in December. This new Mario and Luigi game and Mario Tennis. Wow, guess what? No real announcements. You sat through 40-some minutes of this press conference, and nothing's really been announced. Everything you knew was already, like, we already knew about the 99% of these games. The very few that were, like, the first time announced weren't that big of a deal. So, I'll be honest, you could have completely skipped Nintendo's press conference, and you kind of missed nothing besides weird puppets and fucking 20-minute interviews that had nothing to do with E3. It was a really odd press conference. But now let's close it with Mario Maker. Mario Maker. Oh, Miyamoto sits there with some other guy who apparently he's worked with for like 30 years, and they talk about, oh, this is how we made the original Mario levels. No one cares. We're here to talk about games. We're not here to talk about a documentary on Miyamoto, how he lives near a shrine, and how he made the Mario 1 levels or whatever. We're here to talk about games. They barely talk about the game. They show lots of it. They show, oh, this game's cool because you can use the graphical templates from Super Mario Brothers 1, 3, and World. You cannot use Super Mario 2. Apparently, it never existed because it wasn't in there as an option that I saw. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is in there. But keep in mind, Super Mario 2 is kind of weird because in the US it was one game and in Japan it was another game. So I can understand there being almost, trepidatious about doing it. They're worried that maybe people won't understand why it looks how it does. But pretty cool that they've got all the graphics of all the games. I've seen now at this point, I've seen people doing mashups, I think making hellish levels for Mario that are just fucking evil. You could also have sprites in there from other stuff. There was like sprites in there of other games and stuff that you could do in it. Don't get me wrong. I actually think that Mario Maker not only will be a good game, but will actually be one of the most creative things. The question is, will it sell like Nintendo apparently thinks it will? Because let's face it, Littlebigplanet, let's shoot back to way back when, right? Early PS3 days, Littlebigplanet. Every piece of gaming media said this game is going to change the way that games are made. Because you can use their toolkit to create your own levels. The game can be whatever it wants. It's going to change the way that games exist. We're going to have a whole new world of gaming after Littlebigplanet 1 exists. And everyone thought it was going to be the best game ever. Every fucking outlet gave it 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Amazing reviews. And the bottom line is, the common person played it and said, okay, great, but did it change the face of fucking gaming? No. Did Littlebigplanet 1 break sales records? No. It was good. It was good enough to warrant 2 fucking sequels, but it didn't, you know what I mean? It didn't blow things out of the box. The whole press conference building up to Mario Maker is Nintendo saying Mario Maker is our money maker for 2015. I don't think it is. I think you're going to have a small group of people who are creative, who like to fuck around, and who want to make their own Mario levels. For them, maybe this is like a dream. Wow, I could finally make my own Mario, right? But outside of that small group of people, how many people want to spend $50 to $60, because we don't know the price tag, is it full 60, to get a game that's just going to be you making Mario levels? You know what I mean? Like, it's cool, there's a lot of gimmicks and cool things in it, but for me, like, that's the kind of game I'll sit there and I'll play it for a couple hours, maybe a couple times a week, make a couple fun levels, and then I'll want to play a few levels people made, and I'll say that was great, and I'll never play it again. Because I got other things to move on to, you know? They're like banking that this is their moneymaker. I don't think it is. I think that Miyamoto's head is so far up either in the clouds or up his own fucking ass at this point that he doesn't understand the common consumer and what they want. No one asked for Mario Maker. Did you hear a clamoring over the years, we want to make our own Mario games, Nintendo, make it happen? No, and again, this is me going along my same lines of thought. Nintendo does not listen to feedback. They refuse. They refuse to listen to what the consumers want and what the gamers want. They do whatever they want. So Miyamoto, it'd be nice if other people could make Mario. Woo! This is our game for the year. I would love to see actual sales numbers for Mario Maker. Give it a month or two after it comes out in September, because it comes out September 11th, 2015. Let's see what happens. Seriously, let's see what happens with this game. I could be completely wrong. It's the best-selling game ever from Nintendo. I would guarantee you it probably will not be a huge seller. And Nintendo will once again say, well, sell more Amiibos because we can't sell games. And then they closed their press conference this year with an actual montage of little kids singing and or playing the Mario theme song, and said, are you a fan of Mario? Go to this website to submit your own video and have a chance to be part of the... Again, that's nice. It's good to stroke your own cock, Nintendo, because we all know that you think that, like, everyone still loves you, and in reality, that's not the truth. In reality, you've lost massive amounts of fandom, and the truth is that you are not number one, you're not number two, you're almost in last place when it comes to game developers at this point, and... You know, it's nice that you want to try. Oh, look, little kids like Nintendo. It's so cute. It was out of place. It didn't belong in the conference. Again, when you have a 40 minutes or 45 minutes, however long the digital presentation was, to show off your stuff, and you're wasting time with interviews with Miyamoto and kids doing music and puppets, you know what that tells me? Once again, for like the third year in a row, Nintendo had no actual content that warranted an E3 event. That they had to fill it with fluff, with bullshit, with Amiibos, rather than to actually show you, here's what we've been working on. We're sorry we fucked up with the Wii, and again with the Wii U. Here's the great games that you're going to be playing in the next year. No, instead it was, here's a bunch of fluff, and we'll try to shove in some game content here or there. So, you know, I hate to say it. I really hate to say it. Nintendo is not the people who they used to be. They're not. The heads of Nintendo, who at once were seen as idols and great, you know, people to look up to in the gaming industry, have fallen from their perches. And Nintendo is not a bad company, but they don't know how to make money being a gaming company anymore, and that's a shame. It's a shame that they have to go back to their same IPs over and 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 over again in order to make money, instead of trying to innovate or do anything outside the box that would actually interest people, right? Instead, we've got, just listen, Star Fox, Mario Maker, which is Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Fire Emblem, Xenoblade, Animal Crossing, Yoshi. Okay, Yokai Watch is a new series. Mario and Luigi, Mario Tennis, Mario Maker. One game in the entire digital event for Nintendo was something new. Everything else was a rehash, a re-release, a remake of the same shit on a new version for a new handheld or new ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Please, Lord, someone buy Nintendo. At this point, I have to really scream. Someone buy the fuck out of the stock of Nintendo so we can have a company back that cares, that listens, that will give gamers what they want. The Amiibos are fine for revenue, right? They need the revenue right now after years of losing money. Nintendo really needs to redirect to become a company of gaming again, because they will never regain their place unless they start listening, which they refuse to do. They are so culture-centric, they believe that their decisions are the best. Miyamoto thinks that Mario Maker is the best game ever, instead of listening, all right? Listen to the fucking gamers. We're tired of being treated like we don't care, like you don't care what we say. Yes, it's cool that you want to sell figures to the mainstream to make revenue, but don't ignore the fandom that made you who you are, which is exactly what Nintendo is doing right fucking now. They're ignoring you and me, the gamers, and they're listening, oh, you want Amiibos? Here, have a figure. It's fucking preposterously stupid, and it pisses me the fuck off, okay? Alright, that is it for my Nintendo recap and reactions to their press conference. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you will watch the other E3 coverage that I have done and will be doing. Thank you, and